and welcome to the ISDA AGM studio. We're here to talk about LIBOR and, more importantly, SOFR. I'm joined by David Bowman from the Federal Reserve Board and Tom Wipf from Morgan Stanley, an ISDA board member, chair of the ARC, and chair of the CFTC GMAC. Welcome.
Thanks, Amy.
So the ISDA 2020 IBOR fallbacks protocol played a significant role in helping the market navigate away from the majority of LIBOR tenors at the end of 2021. In less than 8 weeks, the remaining US dollar LIBOR tenors will face a similar fate. What role will fallbacks play in this final stage of the transition?
Well, yeah, certainly the implementation of the ISDA protocol was a critical part of our path to the end of LIBOR. As we get to the end, I mean, with so many counterparties have signed up, I think we're just asking people to take a look and make sure they've signed up, and if not, there's a variety of paths that some of these things will take, but for the most part, it had a profound impact and really de-risked the derivatives market considerably.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of the cleared space has worked its book down or will soon, but I do expect a lot of people to rely on the protocol. And I want to second Tom, as you probably know, when the official sector began to think about fallbacks, and what to do about legacy products, ISDA was the first place that we came to. And the protocol is really, the base from which we started all the work on legacy products. So you see it in the LIBOR Act, you see it, in the ARC recommendations. So it's really the anchor for all products.
So the protocol will result in fallbacks to a rate based on SOFR itself, similar to, as you said, the LIBOR Act and similar to the SOFR OIS markets. However, certain cash products have transitioned or will transition to term SOFR, a different benchmark. What role will term SOFR play in the derivatives markets?
I would say a very limited role, and that's really been part of the design. The idea was to offer some participants in the cash market an ability to hedge that exposure, but as we've laid out our best practices and our scope of use documents, it's very clear that we see a very limited use set for term SOFR to really accommodate certain cash products as we move through time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you've released data showing it's about 5 or 6% of the market. I think that's about where it's going to stay. It may raise a percentage point or two in steady state, but it's always going to be, a very minor part of the overall market. And, it's important that, the ARC recommendations that we've spent a lot of time working on, are now embedded in the CME term SOFR license agreement. So, if you want to use term SOFR, you have to abide by the ARC recommendations, and those recommendations are there for the long run.
And having been there from the beginning, Ann, that our first principles are to not reintroduce any of the issues with LIBOR. And that's really why we've stayed on a very limited track as it relates to term SOFR, really as an accommodation to the cash market.
We're not doing this again.
Exactly.
Well, thank you and enjoy the rest of the AGM.